It's hot and it's getting hotter. How's London coping?
Well, look, we are, as a global city, we suffer from what's called the urban heat island effect, which means it's hotter in London than other parts of the country, and it feels hotter as well. The Met Office, for the first time in its history, issued the level 4 red warning, and the Chief Medical Officer advised it's not just the elderly and those who are vulnerable who will suffer the effects of this excessive heat, but all of us. And so far, things are running okay in our city because people are doing the right thing. They're only using public transport if it's essential for them to do so. They're not ringing 999 unless it's an emergency, and it's really important we do what we can today and tomorrow to make sure we get through this healthy one and as well as we can be.
We should be doing better, though, shouldn't we? We hear about schools potentially closing, trains not running. It's summer, it gets hot, we should be prepared.
Well, that's the classic mistake to make. This is not normal temperatures for a summer in our city and our country. Records are going to be broken this year. 40 degrees is not normal. It's one of the consequences, by the way, of climate change. It's why it beggars belief, by the way. None of those running to be the next Prime Minister seem to care about this issue. We would have these temperatures of, north of 35 degrees once every 300 years. In previous decades, now it's once every 3 years. And that's why we have to adapt now, because I'm afraid this may become the norm rather than the exception. But we aren't ready for these temperatures. We aren't prepared. We're not used to them. And that's why people should be careful. You're not on holiday now. You're in this country. These temperatures are excessive. Please be careful. Carry water if you're out and about. Change your normal routines. Don't go out between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m., the hottest parts of the day. And the other problem we have is it stays hot in the evenings as well. So you don't cool off in the evenings. That's why it's really important not to fall for the sunshine outside your window if you've got a cool home. Think about staying indoors.
Given that we could well see days like this appearing more frequently, what is London doing? What are you doing to make sure that facilities in the capital, to make sure that transport in the capital will be able to cope in future?
So the good news is that the new stuff we're building, so the new Elizabeth line, air conditioned, new buildings we're building have cooling systems, rely upon renewable energies, are insulated and so forth. The key challenge is to retrofit, in other words, adapt the buildings we already have, adapt the public transport we already have, and we're trying to work with the government to make sure the new buses are not just fully electric, but are cooler in the summer, are warm in the winter, to persuade the government to invest in buildings, which creates jobs, by the way. We need people to insulate buildings, to have double glazing, to have energy-efficient buildings. So it's a good way of making sure we're ready to deal with these temperatures, but also it creates jobs as well.
Yeah, bringing it back to the present, some unions calling for a maximum workplace temperature, meaning employees get flexible conditions if the workplace hits a certain temperature, 25 degrees Celsius or whatever it may be. Is that a good idea, or is that more nanny state?
Well, no, I think we've got to be looking at certain industries. I mean, for example, some councils have, and I support this, asked their refuse collectors to just start a bit earlier, so they're not out in the sun when it's really, really dangerous. Some construction workers I know are starting early today, making sure they're not in the sun when it's really, really hot. We've got to adapt our working practices because of these temperatures. They're not normal, and so we can't rely upon business as usual. We've got 2 days of temperatures at or above 40 degrees. Never before have we had that in our country. The Met Office has never before issued the level 4 red warning. Never before have you got medical experts advising all of us, not just the elderly and vulnerable, to be cognizant, be aware, take steps to avoid getting unwell. These are exceptional circumstances which require exceptional measures.
Yeah, the temperature just crept up again. Hottest place in the UK now, Writtle in Essex, 32.3 degrees Celsius. The Deputy Prime Minister, Dominic Raab, has said that people should stay hydrated, but also should be resilient and enjoy the sunshine. I mean, he's got a point, hasn't he?
Well, he has if you're like Dominic Raab and have an air-conditioned office and are driven in an air-conditioned car from home to the office. For everybody else, that's not the life that they lead. That's why it's really important to make sure, yes, you wear sunscreen, you stay hydrated, carry around water with you, make sure you refill your bottle. Keep an eye out for the elderly, those living by themselves. Don't assume, because you're the Deputy Prime Minister and you've got a hunky-dory life, everybody else has the same life. They don't.
And just finally, pollution, a big problem in the capital. And of course, the hot weather means those levels are going up as well.
Absolutely. We know that in a capital city like London, not only do we have the urban heat island effect, but also air pollution can get worse. Imperial College have confirmed we're at the high alert level now for air pollution. If you're somebody like me who's got asthma, it can be a real challenge, but also people without health issues can suffer as a consequence of the poor air pollution. And so if you've got a child in a buggy, don't take them out during the daytime. Don't do strenuous exercise when the heat is hot, but also when the air pollution is at its worst. Just for 2 days, be sensible, use your common sense, go to the Met Office website, go to the City Hall website, look at the best possible advice to keep yourself safe, your family safe, and those vulnerable neighbours safe as well.
OK, we must leave it there. Thank you very much for your time, Sadiq Khan, Mayor of London.